Hi everybody, this is Catherine from In the Pink Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and my project today is a gift box that opens like this. It'll fit a lot of things, but this one says best wishes, so I was thinking maybe a gift card for a wedding or a shower or something. And it measures 4 by 2 3/4 by 1 1/4. Alrighty, and I used the Artistically Inked stamp set along with the Artistic dies and the Scalloped Contour dies for this here. I also used the Expressions in Ink Designer Series paper for this. And for this project, we need this rectangle that I cut using the Scalloped Contours dies. We need this piece of leaf. I have some extra here. That is from the Artistic dies. And we need 5 pieces of the Expressions in Ink DSP. One that is 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. 2 that are 3 3/4 by 1. And 2 that are 2 1/2 by 1. And I will put all this information on my blog also, which I will link below. Alrighty, so let's get started here. Let's start with our Designer Series paper and our Simply Scored. Okay, and we're going to start with the paper on the 8 1/2 inch side. I'm going to get my stylus, and we're going to score at 1/2, 3 1/4, 4 1/2, and 7 1/4. And I'm going to turn it to the 7 inch side, and we're going to score at 1 1/4, 5 1/4, and 6 1/2. Okay, and that's all the scoring. Now I'm going to fold and burnish all of my score lines. Now, excuse my writing on here because I wrote it on the wrong side. This is what we want it to look like after we've cut it. All right, so we're going to get rid of this rectangle down here, this rectangle, this square, this rectangle, and these 2 rectangles at the top. Okay? But we're going to do it slowly, and I will talk you through it so it won't be too hard. All right, so what we have is a 1/2 inch skinny rectangle on the left-hand side and at the top. That's the orientation of the paper when we're starting to cut. On this long skinny rectangle, there is the smallest rectangle at the bottom here. And I'm just going to cut it off straight up to the first score line and then wedge a little bit above it. Okay, so that's what that's going to look like. Okay, and we're going to be going along the bottom. We want to keep the rectangle side straight. Okay, so these are 2 rectangles, and then we're going to wedge a little piece out of each side of the squares, and that will make a tab. Okay, so we're going to go to the other side of this rectangle, cut that one straight also, and then wedge the 2 sides of this square. Okay, just like that. Then we're going to turn it so that the skinny rectangles are at the bottom and the right-hand side. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cut right here past the first score line up to the second. Okay, and we're going to cut off this top rectangle, and then we have a square left, so we're going to wedge that for our tabs. Okay, now this is going to be our front flap, our top flap here. Okay, so we're going to leave that straight. All right, so we don't want to touch anything on this. We're just going to go to the other side of it and cut it straight to the second score line. Move to the other side of the square and cut that straight And then we're going to take off this rectangle that's at the top. And then wedge both sides of that. Okay, and then we're just going to take off everything else. So let's just cut a straight line across all the way over to the square. Okay, and then we want to wedge a little bit out of the other side of this rectangle here. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like after you've cut it. Now we want to bring in the detail trio punch, and we want to round the corners of our front top of the flap. Okay, there we go. So this is what it will look like when it's ready to be put together. Okay, now we're going to need our tear and tape, and we're going to put it on this skinny rectangle that's on the left-hand side. And we're going to put it as close to the score line as we can get it. Alrighty. And then I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to take the backing off, flip it over, and I'm going to fold down one side and fold the other side to meet it. Okay. And there's our most of our box right here. Okay, then I'm going to take any small circle punch you have. Stampin' Up doesn't have any right now, but this one is a 7/8 inch. And I just want to take a sliver out of the side that has the flap so that it's easier to open. Okay, so let's close this. Okay, then we're going to flip it over to the bottom. We're going to put in the tabs, put down the back, and then this front piece is the piece we want to put our tear and tape on. And I'm going to put one all the way close to the edge. That's the important one. You could also put one inside too, but the most important one is to get the one closest to the edge. And I'm going to take off the backing. And I'm going to make sure that everything is nice and square, okay? And we're going to put down that. And you can open it up and press down, make sure everything gets adhered in there. Okay, so that is the most difficult part. It's all done. All right, so now we need our designer series paper. So you could put one on the bottom if you want to, but I'm not gonna, because I can use that paper on somewhere where it's gonna show. All right, so I'm gonna take the piece that is 3 3/4 by 2.5, and I'm gonna put liquid glue and put it on the top of the black. Okay, and now I'm going to take the pieces that are 1 inch by 3 3/4, and I'm going to put them on the top, on this top and the two long sides, let's say. Okay, and then the pieces that are 1 by 2.5, I'm going to put on this side and this side. Okay. Now we need our piece of basic white cardstock that we cut using the Scalloped Contour dies, and that is this second one here. This is the second to smallest. Alrighty, and I need some Tuxedo Black ink and the Best Wishes sentiment from Artistically Inked, and I'm going to shoot for right up here. Great. Okay. And then we're going to glue this centered right on the middle of the top. Okay. Now we need a piece of basic white cardstock, and we're going to stamp the rose image. I'm going to use pale papaya ink. Okay, I think my camera cut out, so I'm going to tell you what I did. All right, I placed the leaves without the flower here. I placed the leaves that I wanted down like this. And then I took dimensionals and I put 3 dimensionals on the back of the flower and pressed it down over these leaves that are here, okay, which connected them. If they're loose, you can add a little bit of dot of glue on the edges if you want to, but it usually works. Okay, then for the final touch, I took metallic pearls in gold and I put 3 right in the center, which mimics a lot of the designer series paper, has little gold dots in the center. Alrighty, and that's it. I'm sorry my camera might have cut out on you. But if you need any Stampin' Up! Supplies, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and if you need one, please consider buying your Stampin' Up! Products through me. My address is at the top of the screen, cathryn.stampinup.net. And if you need any info about this project, I will link my blog below, which will have all of the measurements and such, and my contact information is below also. Thank you so much for coming and watching my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!